Wow. That's amazing. That's so amazing. Good evening, England. I'm so excited to come your way to another edition of the Inside View. Tonight, um, I'm so humbled to have this important personality I'm about to interview. So tonight it's dubbed Gospel Goes Classical. I just want to ask, what kind of music are you listening to? They say music is the food, to our soul. Tonight we've got different kinds of music, maybe, and then also there's a perception that your music must be popular before you can actually get some recognition. But is that right? Is it true? Because at the end of the day, we've got a lot of amazing musicians out there who are not appreciated at all. And tonight, our discussion is going to be centered on musicians who feel underrated. And tonight, with me on the Inside View, I have a noble young gentleman who is doing exploits in Ghana and also, for the matter, in West Africa. I would say he's a leading Ghanaian classical or arts musician. He's a keyboardist, a composer, an arranger, a conductor, a choir director, and a singer. This man is too full loaded. Tonight, let's all welcome, on tonight's show, Dr. Alfred Patrick Addaquay. Doctor, welcome to the Inside View.
Thanks a lot.
It's so good to have you on our screens, in England, and to see, and I'll say, in Bradford, to be precise. So, welcome to the Inside View, and it's such an honor to have you in our homes tonight. So, welcome.
Thanks a lot, Nana, and thanks for hosting me. Actually, I'm also very excited being on this show for the first time, and I know it's not gonna be the first time, and it will continue. But for this first edition, I want to thank you and say it's a privilege and an honor to be on your show. I've watched the show a couple of times, and I can say that it's a great show. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've seen you doing amazing stuff in Ghana. Actually performing on bigger platforms. But I would say those of us here, we just want to know a little bit about you. So, for the purposes of those who've not heard about Dr. Addaquay, who are you? Who is Dr. Addaquay? And what should I say? Who and what inspired you to pursue a career in music? And also, who are the most important influences on your musical life and career?
Wow. Okay. Excellent question. I was watching. Thanks a lot, and I also want to say hi to all the viewers and the listeners. I was watching an interview today, and someone, the host, asked the question, and then the guest was like, "Thanks a lot for the question." Someone came on the line and was like, anyone that starts with "thanks a lot for the question" means he has nothing to say about the question. So he's thinking about how to answer. But that's not in any way. Thanks a lot for the question. I think that from the onset, let me first say Dr. Alfred Patrick Addaquay. As soon as you hear the name, everyone thinks of music, the keyboard playing and singing and the classical music. So I'll say I'm a classical stroke art musician. Now, it's not very common to see classical stroke art musician. I wouldn't say it's not common, but I haven't done any research yet. But I'm sure that I am the only one that has really written that against my name as as
Wow.
my what I do or what I stand for. The classical music stands for the Western traditions.
Okay.
The Western music, Beethoven, Mozart, Handel,
Mm-hmm.
Tchaikovsky, Mendelssohn. I perform all these, and I perform them on all the keyboards, the piano. Okay, almost all the keyboards anyway. The piano, the harpsichord, the organ, the synthesizer, and all that. So
Wow.
that background, for that background, and I sing a lot of vocal works from both oratorios, operas, and all that, as arias and all that. And then that background, I don't want to take it for granted. Despite I'm an African, I still have that classical background. So I'm a classical musician. But the art music there is what stands in for the lot of or all kinds of music I do. For instance, we have Ghanaian art music. We have Nigerian art music. And when it comes to Ghanaian art music, I perform works from both ancient and modern. When I'm talking about ancient, I'm talking about Dr. Ifrimamu.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, you saw one of my videos, which I performed his works. I performed Professor Nketia, and then I come down to perform all contemporary Ghanaian art composers. And I also sing Ghanaian gospel music. And therefore, because of that Ghanaian background and the kinds of things I do a lot of them. So the art music stands for almost all the other kinds of music I do, apart from the classical. That's why I'm a classical art musician. And then talking about what inspired me, to be frank, if I tell you that one day I was there and God called me and I saw a vision and I started singing, even God knows I'll be a big liar. It didn't start like that. I just saw a friend playing the piano and I was interested because I was a chorister. So I started singing before playing the piano and I was really interested. Then when I touched the piano, hey, something spoke to my heart that you're gonna be a professional musician. In fact, the first day I touched the piano, I told myself I'm gonna be. So that ambition was so. I mean, the first time I touched it, and that was at the age of 5 to 6 years. So I decided around that age, not that I waited till I grew up, or not that I wanted to be an engineer and I grew up and later on I realized there's nothing to do. I didn't pass my examination and I decided to go into music. Or no, it's nothing like that. I decided right from childhood that I will become a professional musician. Therefore, I started working towards it right from there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
talking about what inspired me, there are many a lot of there are a lot of aspects of music that inspired me in terms of performance
Mm.
of music. I would say that from my infancy, because I was playing in the cathedral, in the cathedral in which I was, that's the Wesley Cathedral Methodist in Kumasi. There were a lot of wonderful organists and a lot of wonderful singers. I started getting my inspiration from there. And in terms of composition, I started also receiving inspiration from the composers we used to perform from both Western and
Mm-hmm.
Ghana. From Western, yes, as I mentioned, we used to perform a lot of these, especially Handel. Ghanaians like Handel.
Yeah.
And then Mozart. We used to perform a lot of Mozart, Haydn, Mendelssohn, all from their great oratorios and some of their operas.
Mm.
And then we used to perform a lot of Ghanaian composers, such as E.C. Bilson, such as Professor Nketia, yes, and all the great Ghanaian masters. We used to perform
Okay.
all of them. And so on the composition side, I had the inspiration from there. And of course, for vocal, I had a lot of inspiration from Pavarotti, because
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a tenor, and
Yeah.
Pavarotti, Andrew Bocelli, and then when it comes to Ghana, there were a lot of singers, not necessarily soloists when I was beginning, but I had a lot of inspiration from some choirs, some cathedral choirs that I used to listen to, and that is where I picked the vocal aspects from. So the inspiration is not even when it comes to the composition. I don't have one person to be a role model. because it depends. For instance, when it comes to Ghanaian works, I may have a role model, depending maybe when it comes to high life, I may have a role model. When it comes to composition in Western, I may have a role model. Let's say in oratorios, my role model may be Handel. Symphonies may be Mozart. So depending on what I want to do and my role model, but I have a lot of them. So I would say that my inspiration comes from a lot of places, and it comes as low as from a beginner. I can have, depending
Wow.
on what I do. Yeah.
Wow. Before we go into the operas, the concertos, and all those the
Yeah.
cantatas and everything, we just want to know a little bit about your background, because I would say most of the things that we do stems from our formative years, isn't it? So
Yeah.
actually, with you, did any of your family members, where was it, let's maybe your mom or your dad, into music that really inspired? Because obviously, at that age, 5 to 6 years, somebody would just think maybe it might be one of your parents that took you to church for you to get, access to this kind of instruments. So, who actually, like among the parents, who actually inspired you, or who actually has a musical, background that made you think, oh, okay, maybe I can learn from mommy or I can learn from daddy? Because for me, for instance, both parents of mine, I'd
Oh,
say,
wow.
yes, my dad was a choir director, and my mom
Okay.
was, is still a chorister. So I've got a little bit of inspiration from my parents. So with you, do you have any form of inspiration? Did you, I would say, like any form of inspiration from any of your parents?
Okay. Excellent question. Yes. Yes. I started as an Anglican before I moved to the Methodist Church. And let me tell you one thing. My mom was a chorister in the
Okay.
Methodist, in the Anglican Church. Actually, she was before she moved to be a chorister in the Methodist Church. But her career as a chorister was well done in the Anglican Church. Actually, she was trained in the Anglican Church, and she was very popular amongst choristers, especially in Kumasi in the Anglican Church. Because you see, it got to a time she was their top soprano in such a way that wherever they have to go, she has to be there. Let me tell you, even when I was in her womb, they had to go for a conference. And then because she was pregnant, the elders of the family and all that advised her not to go. But because of the way the conference was very competitive, it was a competition, like a national Anglican competition.
Okay.
So she was the top soprano for Kumasi Diocese. They had to beg her to come because the competition, it was very competitive. And trust me, she had to sacrifice and attend that conference. And then, according to her, a certain old lady she met that she never met again in life told her that for this
Wow.
sacrificial work you've done, the child in your womb will become a
Wow. That's
very great musician.
wow. That's
Actually, so it wasn't surprising when from infancy. So I would say that yes, my mom some of the Methodist church, Methodist church, but
yeah.
in the Methodist church where I went, the instruments were available. But even that one, I was once reported to the leaders meeting that there's a child that has been coming here to play the keyboard and all that. We warn him, he doesn't listen and all that. It was at the leaders meeting. I don't know how
So,
my parents did it, So I quite remember when we moved to the Methodist church, my mom introduced me to the junior choir, and that is how my talent came up. So yes, it's true that the inspiration straight comes from my mom. For that
wow.
one, there is always an argument whether it comes from my mom or my dad, because on my dad's side, we have great musicians like Bessa Simons,
Oh,
and that is the acting president of Musica, his father, Bessa Simons. So now was my great grandfather, and then we had few good musicians in my dad's side. So there is always an argument whether my music blood flows from my dad's side or it comes from my mom because my mom was a chorister, but
say
then
both.
okay, both, yeah. But to be specific and to be truthful, I will tell you that it came from my mom because she was a chorister, and that's where the inspiration came from. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tonight we are talking about modern fusion of classical
Yeah.
music and gospel. And
For sure.
now, yes. Before we go on, I would just urge viewers online to share this link, and I'll still, urge you to invite as many friends as you can, and let's all, watch Dr. Alfred Patrick Addaquay, who will, educate us on the different types of music out there. So I plead with you once again to share the link, invite as many people as you can so that we can be, educated tonight. Because I think all that we know is the hip hop and the gospel. And even with the gospel, certain kinds of gospel, so tonight we just want to be enlightened and also educated about some of these things so that we don't limit ourselves. And I'm so glad that, Dr. Addaquay is here with us to throw more light on these issues. So welcome back again, Doctor. And,
Hi.
for
Thanks.
tonight, I know on most of your interviews is all about, your performances and everything.
Yeah.
But tonight, we just want to have an honest conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
As to whether musicians are appreciated, especially certain kinds of genres, or should I say certain kinds of music are being recognized and also appreciated. So for you, what are some of the challenges you have faced in your career?
In the first place, I will say that musicians are appreciated, yes and no. We have many kinds of music. I'll come back to the challenges. Okay. We have many kinds of music that people don't really recognize. Apart from the hip hop or the hip life and the gospel, we have, even in the Western, we have country music, we have indie rock, we have metal music, we have oldies, and we have rhythms and blues. That's what we call R&B, rock. And even when it comes to Africa, for instance, we have juju music from Nigeria, we have benga, and of course Afro beats. We have them. We have Ethio jazz. We have magic. We have lots of them. Now let's come to Ghana, for instance. We have traditional music from each and every region. We have traditional music, like in Accra, for instance. I can mention Panlungu, I can mention Bobobo. We have Addaquay from Ashanti region. We have Kabata in Volta region and all that. We have all kinds of music, And this music I mentioned, jazz and all that, we also have them in Ghana. Okay. But a lot of people, or a lot of the mindset is that a musician is someone who is very popular. That is the mindset of people. So, for instance, when you go anywhere, especially in my part of the world, Ghana, let me be specific. You go anywhere and you tell someone you're a musician. The first question the person will ask you is, what is your name? And how come I haven't heard from you? Or how come I haven't heard about you? Because he thinks that once you mention you're a musician, the whole world must know you, whether you are a xylophonist or what. So it is very difficult for a lot of musicians to even be proud and say they are musicians. They'll tell you, oh no, I am not only a musician, but I also, but in real fact, he's a musician. appreciation of music, as you mentioned, whether the music is appreciated or not. People have the mentality that appreciation of music is when you play music and they clap for you. For instance, when you perform music anywhere and everyone claps for you and everyone goes like, myself, for instance, there are many, many places. In fact, almost all places I go, people end up talking about my performance. I quite remember someone wanted to invite me to her wedding, and someone told her that, hey, for this guy, when he comes to your wedding, he will take all the shine, because at the end of the day, everybody will be mentioning him instead of what happened in the wedding. And I hear it each and every time, which is good. We all feel good when musicians, because for a musician, your aim is to perform for your audience to be happy. So if you perform music and your audience are happy, it means you've achieved your aim. But you've just achieved your aim on one side of it. But appreciation moves beyond just liking the music and clapping. Appreciation also moves beyond just listening to the artist, because it is like a musician has played something you like, you are enjoying it. That is on the other side. But ask yourself that how much will you be ready to pay that musician when you want to invite him to your function? Of course, not all pockets are the same. So you can have fans who really want to invite you, but probably they do not have. And you will have fans who have, but they think that music was freely given to you as a talent. Therefore, you must also perform it for free. And even if they will give you something, they think it's a token, especially when it comes to the gospel side of it. All because the Bible never mentioned the fact that we must pay our musicians well. The Bible mentioned it, but they are very, very few, and they are not very, very clear, as in direct. But I always say that at times we have to think beyond the Bible. As Christians as we are, even when we are planning for our constitutions and all that, churches' constitutions and all that, at times we move beyond the Bible and look at the situation at hand. You understand? Despite all things, I will also say that every musician has a price, no doubt about it. So, for instance, a popular musician, every musician's power is his popularity.
Yeah.
So that one, you mustn't have problem with when Beyonce is on stage and she's being given a specific amount, and you are an underground rapper, you don't expect to get the same amount as Beyonce. That one is very clear. But it doesn't also mean that we must underrate or we must underestimate the power of the different kinds of music and the different kinds of talents we have. In my country, for instance, it is very difficult for you to penetrate through the traditional media if you are not popular, or if your type of music is not popular. So, for instance, we have many kinds of music here. We have jazz music, we have traditional musicians, we have classical musicians, we have country musicians. In fact, we have a lot of variety. People think that we don't have, we have variety of them, but the traditional media, if I'm talking about the traditional media, I mean the radio stations, the TV stations, they are doing it, but they are not doing enough. Once in a while, yes, they try to bring in variety in terms of music, but they have painted the music as if music is all hip life and gospel. That is where the problem is. Now you can imagine we have an award here, which is Vodafone Ghana Music Award. You listen to it carefully. Ghana Music Award. And we have Ghana music, but we don't have awards for traditional Ghanaian musicians. We have Ghana music and we don't have awards for jazz musicians. We have Ghana music and we don't have any award for choral and classical musicians. Do you know why? Because they have painted Ghana music as hip life and gospel, But if they had titled it Vodafone Ghanaian Popular Music or Ghana Hip Life and Gospel Music, If they had limited it, it wouldn't have been a problem. And let me tell you, this is creating a whole lot of problems for a lot of musicians, and which most of them don't want to voice them out because all musicians are afraid that when you voice the truth out, people will stop listening to your music. The media will bash you. They will say you are not part of it. They won't call you again. They won't do this. They won't do this. So we are not able to voice them out. But let me tell you, if if you talk about Ghanaian music and only 2 or 3 kinds of music stands for Ghana, then you are trying to say that all the other kinds of music is not relevant in Ghana. And therefore, trust me, because of it, when you're a musician and you go anywhere, me, of course, I am popular in my own way. But I'm still speaking for
I like that.
the musician. I'm still speaking for the musicians at large. I'm speaking for musicians at large that it is affecting a whole lot of musicians because once they are not recognized in the country, a lot of clients don't want to pay them. People feel that they are not there yet to be paid. And you see, for instance, if you're a gospel musician, in gospel music, we have many kinds of gospel. Trust me, it's not only the gospel we know. We have gospel musicians who only sing slow music.
Yeah.
We have gospel musicians who only sing a kind of gospel, maybe traditional gospel. You understand? So when you go,
hymns. And even
pardon
hymns
me,
as well. I said yes.
yes.
Even hymns as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you go to other parts of the country, whether northern region or what, especially when you go to the Catholic churches in northern region, they play their own music with their xylophones and all that. And to me, it is still gospel music. But then, as soon as we mention gospel music, and because they do not add popular gospel music, they feel that once you are not nominated and you are not part of the award scheme, you are not a gospel musician. It is also disturbing a whole lot of gospel musicians. Therefore, gospel musicians minister at many stages, and the reverend ministers are failing to pay them because they are not Joe Metal, because they are not Diana Hamilton. Hey, and one thing too is that there was a time I was listening to a musician here called Papi Kojo. I'm not so sure. I think he's a hip life musician, and he was nominated. I think for a specific award, about 2 or 3 awards, and he couldn't get any of them. And the media, the traditional media houses were laughing at him. They were bashing him, and he became depressed in such a way that he almost killed himself. Ooh. And as soon as he couldn't get all the awards, his career gradually died in one way or the other. So it means that even when you are nominated and you don't receive the award, your career is at stake. Hey, that unnecessary pressure on all musicians to release the so-called hit songs. One, it's not even bringing in variety in our kinds of music. Two, it is also discouraging all kinds of musicians. You see, if we continue like that, in the next few years to come, it will be very difficult to hear variety in music, one. And it will be very difficult to see a lot of musicians trying to play music for people to be happy. Because you see, once people think I am not recognized and therefore I mustn't be paid, why should I even worry myself to go into it? So I think that, yes, the argument the traditional media will make is that, for instance, if I have my own radio station and you don't pay me, I pay myself. I decide to choose whom I want to invite. If you think you are a traditional musician or you're a classical musician and you need invitation, you can go somewhere else because it is my radio station and I decide whom to invite. It is true. But hey, that is why it is not a social media station. It is a radio station for all. That is my opinion. That as much as you give information of what is happening in the country, when it comes to the arts, research them all. I will advise the media house, they should research them all. Let me tell you, I'm not even talking about only music. We have a lot of people doing wonderful things in terms of drawings, paintings and all that.
Yeah.
Research them more. And then I know the trending issue has also come to bear. Or when we play these musicians' music here, it doesn't trend. Or when you see, good music is good music.
Yeah.
At times, you must also look at your position as educating people as in what is out there. Because for them, what is out there, or for them, Ghana music is hip hop or hip life and gospel. That is for them. You understand? And
Yeah.
these days, of course, they are trying to bring high life back, to resurrect high life in one way or the other. You understand? But I
Yeah.
think it moves beyond that. They should research them more. And then I think for the award scheme too, they must limit the title. That is my opinion. I think they must limit the title, even if other countries are doing it. I feel that it is still wrong for you to bring in few musicians to represent Ghana in terms of music.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
feel that the award scheme is for popular musicians, just limit it, and let the whole world also know that we have other. So, if for instance a musician wins Artist of the Year, it doesn't necessarily mean that musician is the best musician in the whole of Ghana. So I think that we must look at the other sides of me, and the clans try to pay musicians. Pay
But
them.
do you know what? I mean, sorry
Whether
to
you see they
interject
are,
you.
yeah,
Sorry to
yes,
interject, but that's the perception out there that
yeah,
as long as your song is popular, I mean, it's played everywhere, then obviously your song, is a good song. I mean,
yeah.
that's
It's
why
the
it's
best.
being played. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I know tonight's discussion will be fireworks somewhere.
mm,
Already, I've got amazing comments. People in support of what you're saying. I've got I've got Naomi Asani says, I hope everyone will be expecting a heavenly award and reward than getting depressed over earthly award. There's a crown awaiting God's people. Praise God. And also, I've got Sandra Addaquay also saying, wow. I've got Michael Nyako also say, we may have to create an award scheme for other groups, you know, uh, other than hip life and gospel. And then, Mr. I think Mr. Nyako also says that. Meanwhile, the choral music performance, sorry, go and win awards outside. Meanwhile, they are largely not recognized locally. I mean, the comments keep coming, and I've got Benjamin Jeshurun also saying, "Real Ghana Music Award is coming soon." I can't wait for that one. I just can't wait for that one. Yeah, so we'll continue with our discussion. I don't want to take you back, but I know maybe at the end of the
yeah.
discussion, I would ask this question about, I mean, what motivated you. I mean, in fact, let's ask this, because
For
maybe we
sure.
might have a parent that's got maybe a child that's into music, and as
Yeah,
usual, African parents, when we send our children to schools, we want them to pursue certain careers.
yeah,
And here you are doing a PhD
yeah,
in music.
yeah.
What made you pursue, like PhD in music? Because I'm thinking, um, how convinced were your parents, to make them feel that our son will be okay pursuing a doctorate in music? Because I'm thinking, my daughter, I mean, coming to me, saying, "Mom, I want to study music."
Obey some of you.
Yes. So, I mean, from an African, parents' point of view,
Yeah.
I mean, how was that experience for you like?
To be frank, I know it wasn't easy.
Hmm.
But you know what? For some reasons, my mom was skeptical about it, but she loved it.
Okay.
Okay, and I understood her when I was growing,
Mm.
because you see, as a chorister, my mom once told me that I've been a chorister for more than 40 years. And hey, looking at the lives of the musicians that come to teach me music, and looking at their remunerations and how they have been so far, and some of them, their endings, I'm not convinced that you would have to pursue music.
Mm.
But I love what you are doing.
Mm.
And then I told her that there was a time that I was very young, and I took my time to work in her store. She used to sell a lot of suitcases and other stuffs. I walked to her workplace and I sat down and I told her that there's a reason why I'm here as your son, not because I'm not here just because I want to visit the store, but I'm here to tell you that I want to offer music as a course. And I promise you that I will not joke with my career. I promise you that you are not going to see me as the normal choir masters that have been teaching you music that you are disappointed in. I mean, I have to go straight to the point. And I promise you that I'll do my best. And she mentioned that yes, I've still seen serious musicians. She mentioned Professor Nketia, and she mentioned few musicians out there in the Western world. And she said, I know it is possible, but with the kind of perception we have here, that is my major problem. And when I was in the secondary school, I wrote my mom a letter that I want to offer music.
Wow.
And she wrote me a letter back and said, my son, I love you so much. And one thing that worries me is when you jump from churches to churches and from places to places playing music without any fee. And at the
Shabo.
end of the day, they call, yes. Oh no, she mentioned Shabo. We art musicians we call it Kilincha. And at that time, musicians that were doing that were not respected at all, because apart from the people not respecting them from jumping from one place to the other, they were not paid well. So the people felt that from this jumping of places to places without you being paid well, then what is it for? Is it just for the love of the music? Then it means you are not a serious person, because in these days you can't waste your time jumping from places to places without anything, whilst your mates and your colleagues are doing something better for themselves.
Mm.
So my mom had a problem with the Kilincha and the Shabu. She wrote me a letter and told me that is my problem. And when I go to places and people keep on telling me, I've seen your son here, I've seen your son here, it makes me feel I'm not responsible. And at that time, yes, it's true, because I was about 13 years, 14 years. And imagine your son moving to places where you don't know. And someone calls you, I've seen your son in this Anglican church. Hey, the only thing that I think made her proud is that, hey, your son is good. It was that was the only thing that was serving probably as an encouragement. But so it wasn't easy. And in my days, I can say that yes, there were few musicians that had made it in life, and they were very countable. So imagine you paying all these school fees and taking care of your kid from childhood, and then he grows to come and tell you he wants to offer a particular course and become, and move into a certain profession which is not lucrative. I mean, we must be very factual that no parent will agree to that. But I also promised my mom that I will make her proud.
Good.
So she was a little bit convinced. She was a little bit convinced. That she became a little bit convinced when I started writing oratorios.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
she sponsored that oratorio, and Stanchat, thanks to Stanchat, that also sponsored that oratorio, because at that time my dad was one of their staunch clients. Then she realized that, hey, you are writing classical music and all that. Hey, then my son, it seems he's taking it to a certain level. So I quite remember, let me tell you this funny story. When we go to conferences and all that, Methodist conferences and all that, then my mom will tell me, "Your conference, no, men against musician, I quite remember whenever I'm going to a place, there was a time that Harmonious Chorale of Ghana invited me to be their guest keyboardist for a function. And then she told me to wear a suit. And I told her, they have this cloth that they have sewn and they want me to be part of it. She was like, share. Me, no, wear a suit so they will know that you are a guest keyboardist. You are not part of them. She was very particular about that. And she was always particular about me being distinct from other musicians. Seriously, that was also a big challenge to me. And I will say thanks to my mom, because if you see me doing anything different from what others are doing, it's from the inspiration of my mom. That she always wanted to see me doing something different from what others are doing, And for some reasons too, my dad used to tell me, "Hey, who per se, you're good, great musician, this and your manager. And yes, I say, Ushia, Adia, now Ushia, you. And so to me, I can't bro for you. And whenever in the morning, let me tell you one funny story. Whenever I'm brushing my teeth, my dad will come and stand beside me. Brush it well. In future, your interviews near day. They want to see so and I will sing a so you see how white my teeth is. You see this white teeth? It's all because of my dad. Because my dad used to tell me that he knows in future a lot of hosts will grant me interviews. He used to tell me. And then he knows in future I will travel to many places. He knows in future I will be great. So my dad was very optimistic about it. The only thing that were not making them optimistic is the fact that all the musicians around were not making it. And in Ghana, it is true, almost all musicians are complaining. Everybody is complaining. And I think that, to me, I think I've made them proud. And there is still more room for improvement, Wow. When I was done with my master's, and I was on my PhD. Each and every time my mom calls, she'll go like, now PhD, I could see saying, yeah, now PhD, now more than 7 years, no. So she called, how is your supervisor doing? I mean, she has been very keen in my career, in such a way that I got to a time I was even hiding from some of her calls and running away from her because I felt that I need to get to a certain stage before I communicate properly to her. And that has really helped me. So I think that it wasn't very cozy. No, it was because you see, some of their friends and colleagues and even some family members were also laughing at them, because they felt that now I don't know this kind of. I quite remember one of my rich uncles called me when I was having my master's in music. He told me that music has no future. So if he can help me with my school fees, if only I decide not to offer music,
Wow.
Because he never thinks. But I know if he was alive, he would have been very proud of me. And when I was growing, I understood then that the industry is very weak. The music union in Ghana or the industries are very, very, very weak. So apart from the fact that the industry is not able to speak for its musicians, the traditional media is also putting it out there that if your music is not played on the radio station and TV stations and it's not played anywhere, it means you are not part of musicians. It is very bad. And I wish and I plead they stop. I quite remember on United Showbiz by Nana Mama Brown, one gospel producer what said, if you're a gospel musician and you are not thinking about the VGMA, then it means you are not even part of the industry. Because how can you be a gospel musician without thinking of the VGMA? Hey, why should I think of VGMA? Why should it be by force that once my category of music doesn't fall under VGMA, I mustn't be paid? I'm not part of musicians. You see, it mustn't happen so. When you are making your discussions on other kinds of music, let the whole world know that this is what you are discussing. Don't put it like when we are talking about Ghanaian musicians, these are, then they have their own list. No, you are making a mistake. You have to research more into any other field, because the world is in such a way that not everybody was brought up to be popular. But when you come, even in the Western world, we have wonderful musicians doing well in country music, classical, everything. Though the Beyoncés and the Jay-Z's are of course, they are the stars and they are more talked about. Yet they don't underestimate the classical musicians. They don't underestimate country music. They don't underestimate jazz music, And I think that is the same character we must put here. One journalist asked me a question that na aden na ya wo mfa wo ho nhye VGM yi mu bi enne mo ne isakode mo nye collaboration enye sa ma nye sa de ya ka musicians a ye mfa wo nka ho ya mfa wa nka ho so a adi so emma wo adi so amba ya recognize wo, because they think that until we have been able to collaborate with these popular musicians, we are not musicians. No, don't talk like that. I think they need to research more into it. But even if they won't do it, I will plead to the society at large that paying musicians is not wrong. When someone offers a service to you, pay him. Of course, as I said, musicians must also know that everyone has a price. So you can't take as much as another musician is taking. You must know your price. You must know your worth and take what you are worth. Now, we have other musicians, or we have musicians in other sides of the world, even in Ghana, that are not doing it necessarily for the payment. They are doing it for the passion of it. We have gospel musicians who are not doing it because they want to be paid. I'm not saying every musician must be paid, but I think that musicians that think they deserve to be paid, they must be paid. Musicians in the churches must be paid. Musicians playing at
Doc will get to that place, because that was I've got one of my father's best friend on the line.
For sure.
Yes, for sure. And that's Chris Arthur. I don't think, because I knew him as a child, and yes, wow. Yes, as a child. And it's so amazing to read his comments. I remember him coming to Aquatia to visit my parents. I don't think, like he remembers, but I think if I mention my father's name, maybe he might connect. And I don't know, I'm so emotional, about actually seeing this man actually commenting. He says, it's true, your mother once asked for my opinion, whether or not you should be allowed to do music, because I'm a musician myself. Yes, I answered in the affirmative, and happy you have made us thus far. To God be the glory.
Oh, Krasata was my boss. He was my boss in Addaquay. Yes. Yeah, he was once my mentor. I mean, he has been my mentor. If I said the church I started, we had wonderful musicians. When I started, he was the main organist. So if I said I had wonderful musicians whom I looked up to, Krasata is one of them. Yes. Yeah. I love him so much. And on this stage, allow me to say Krasata. On the backstage, I'll say Dada Kras or Mr. Krasata. But he's popularly known as Krasata. Yes.
Yeah, Krasata. Yeah. And of course, an amazing lady also saying we need education in Ghana when it comes to music, called Jemima Jampo. And of course, someone also Nana Ajimai Prempe also saying that, doctor, you need to set up your own radio station. Just to it's true, Doc, you may start your own online radio and promote various music that might educate Ghanaians and the world at large about hidden talents. So these are some of the things that people actually are saying to you. And I think the comments are just numerous, and so encouraging. I think I've got one of your sisters also online. Yes, Sandra. Sandra Addaquay. Quay also
my sister. Yeah.
Yes.
That's my sister.
Our parents had always been understanding although it wasn't easy based on our culture and our economy. So these are comments. I've got Benji Jeshurun also saying, wonderful mothers, what a father. Okay, so we'll continue with the next question.
Can I please give a shout out to my headmistress who is listening to us now, Mrs. Theodosia Jackson, sorry, of Jackson Educational Complex. This headmistress of mine was wonderful because this is the headmistress that advised my mom that, hey, I want your son to be a musician. It's not very common to see, because all headmistresses will be like, all teachers like students that do well in maths and science. But for her, the way she loved what I did, and she encouraged me to be a musician and honored me after school, and was always making sure I receive an award during speech days and all that. Up till now, I still don't understand how a headmistress will be interested in a musician, even as at that time, because you've been in school before, you have also been in school, and you know what I'm talking about. That there's no way a headmistress or a headmaster will be keen in a musician's career. They'll be more keen in I thank you so much, Mrs. Jackson. And there's one name, Mr. Odum, that is a Kukastic Cola. I don't know whether you heard about that book. He also encouraged me a lot when I was in Infant Film School, and he mentioned that I know that your passion is music, and you have to go for it.
Wow. Do you know what? There's a perception that musicians don't thrive well in the church, but then they do well outside the church.
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
Yeah. Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. In fact, as a doctor in my field of music, actually, if I sit here and say all musicians are not doing well in the church, it will be very unfair. Because I know some musicians are doing well. Some churches are paying very, very well. Even in Ghana. Look at an example. Look at Sinach. I mean, Pastor Chris really encouraged Sinach to become who she is now, I will say that we have few musicians doing well in the church, but actually they are accountable. They are not uncountable. They are accountable because all musicians are complaining. As I said, there are some musicians that believe that probably a church has helped them, so they don't need to be paid, or even if they have to be paid, they don't need to negotiate with the church and all that. That is also fine for their faith. But in my personal opinion, I think musicians do better outside the church than in the church. Because let me give you an example. We had a choir that was doing well in a church, that because of opposition and jealousy, though there were few faults here and there of the choir, I wouldn't say they were excellent or they were perfect, but they were doing very well in such a way that the church's name was traveling outside Winneba because of that choir. But because of jealousy and opposition, the choir had to move out of the church. Now, when they moved out of the church, they became the most famous choir in Ghana, and still the most famous choir in Ghana, which is Winneba Youth Choir. Winneba Youth Choir was a church choir.
Wow.
Kwame Eugene had his own ministry. When he moved out of the church, he became a better musician. Not a better musician as in musically, but in terms of everything, leverage, financially, everything. We were all once choir masters and all that in the church. What is happening in the church that even these choirs that have come, let me tell you, even Harmonious Chorale, it started as Harmonious Quartet in a church. So how come all these musicians, when they move out of the church, they become bigger than in the church? It means that the church must set up in terms of encouraging musicians to do what they want to do. You see, I always say that I was in a church where I was very powerful in such a way that when as soon as I entered the church, the numbers grew in such a way that even it grew to become the biggest, Methodist church in Ghana for a while. People were traveling all the way. Let me tell you, when I was a choir master organist in that church, people were traveling from other parts of West Africa, and even people were traveling from Accra just to come and listen to me and go back. Wow. I'm telling you, I know one man called Mr. Otu, who is my patron and who encouraged me to have this PhD done and paid my school fees.
Wow.
He opted to pay my school fees for my
Wow.
PhD. Mr. Otu could travel from Accra to Takrade each and every weekend just to come and listen to me playing the keyboard with his family and all that. So you must know the kind of influence I'm talking about. But you know what? It got to a stage because of the opposition. It got to a time I had to stop, at a point in time. Now we must know that because some reverend ministers think music is very powerful.
Mm.
And if they don't take care and musicians are being given the chance, they may even control the whole church because musicians are loved. And therefore,
Yes.
even some reverend ministers in the charismatic churches, they control the musicians. As in, no, I want you to sing this song. Hey, don't sing this song. Don't do this. When they don't speak, don't do this. Hey, you are becoming proud. Hey, shut up. Because they know if they don't control us, at times they give the impression that because musicians are not disciplined, so they have to control us. Yes, it is true some musicians are not disciplined, but I am also very, very, very sure, and I'm telling you that musicians, when they are given the power or they are given the chance in the space,
Mm.
they can be very powerful. Hey, I mean, look at Shatawale. Look at the kind of following he has. I mean, he can become president of Ghana because he has almost about half of the population to himself. That is how powerful a musician can be, and therefore churches always have problem with musicians springing up because probably the musician was a poor man's son somewhere, and now he grew to become a musician, and everybody is mentioning him in the church. They have problem with that. They think you must be a rich man's son, and they also think that musicians are for Kubolo because when I was growing up, almost all the band boys were Kubolo boys, so called. So they think musicians are for Kubolo people, and therefore they are afraid musicians spring up. But despite all things, as I said, I when I was a choir master, I was very glad and I was very happy and very proud that I had a minister that really appreciated what I was doing. So you see, musicians are really timid in the church because it seems everybody is talking about musicians. Hey, let any other society or group in the choir do anything wrong. They will talk about it. It will die at some point. Let choristers misbehave. Everybody will stand. I don't know what musicians have done to the church and to the society. I feel that we must change the mindset, even if some musicians are misbehaving. It doesn't mean all musicians are not disciplined. It doesn't also mean that all of us are, you know, we don't know what we are doing or we do not know our feet or what.
Mm.
But I want to plead to the church that music is one of the tools that can also grow a church. As
Yeah.
much as the word grows a church, music can also grow a church. And don't take the musician for granted, or don't just think that appreciating. You see, the church thinks that appreciating musicians is by clapping for them or by telling them you did well. I mean, people think when we finish performing and they come and tell us, oh, and then they were bad, no power. Some of us we have heard it over and over and over. Hey, today we are tired of it. It moves. Appreciation moves beyond clapping for somebody.
Mm.
Appreciation is part of, even the acknowledging the presence of a musician. When you go to occasions in churches, they will acknowledge all the reverend ministers and all the bishops that didn't even play any role on that occasion.
Mm.
The choir master and the church choir that sang throughout the whole service, they will never mention them in the mindset of we don't want the musician to be proud. Musicians are proud. Musicians like money. Meanwhile, the same people tell you musicians are poor. So if musicians are poor, then how come they like money? Or they'll tell you we don't take care of our money and all that. That kind of perception about musicians is very wrong. And if we do not address it, you see, we are timid because we are always afraid to address it. Right now, look, someone sitting out there is very angry with me. You see, so some will for me because because I'm telling them to respect musicians. You have to respect our work because you see, before we produce the music you listen to, we rehearse a lot. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, we
Yes.
rehearse a lot. Myself, for instance, I do 8 hours a day.
Whoa.
The less I'll do, let's say the less I'll do, maybe about 5 hours or 6 hours a day. Trust me. And look at choristers. They come and rehearse out 2 or 3 times. No
Yeah.
matter the person's wedding, they will attend. The
Mm,
church service, all occasions, they are there. So
mm,
give them some kind of respect. Give them
yeah.
some kind of acknowledgement. It will take
Mm,
nothing from you when you acknowledge them. It will take nothing from you when you give them incentives. Once in a
good.
while, if you give choristers some bonus during Christmas or something, it will take nothing from you. You understand?
Mm.
Yes, we have 1 or 2 faults. That one we can discuss later. We are all human beings. Even the rest of us also have their faults. So I think that musicians are struggling because of the perception. The
Good.
perception that people don't want to pay us because they only think you must be paid when you are popular, or you must be paid when everybody is playing your music. That is not the definition of a musician is not how popular he is. Definition of a composer is not how popular his music is. Definition of a singer is not how popular he is, but it is because so a musician is someone that plays the instrument. Now, to the society, don't also feel shy to mention musicians as people you cherish. I'm giving a last example before we continue. Like you, Nana Hagan, I know you're a singer. You'll be shocked that someone listens to your music each and every time. You are someone's favorite, but the person is just shy to say you are my favorite. Why?
Mm.
Because you are not Diana Hamilton. Even when the person is playing your music in his car, as soon as friends come, he has to change it to Joe Metal.
Hi, Doc. Hello, viewers.
So everyone will
Okay,
know,
it's fine. Yeah. Okay.
oh no, no, he's current and all that,
Mm.
and that
I think our network is playing up a bit. So as soon as Doctor's network is restored, we'll put him back. But so far, it's been an amazing interview with so much.
right.
And I'll say that now Doctor is talking for a lot of musicians, and because we have a lot of musicians who are so aggrieved, not too happy, and they
Maybe the
feel
person
like
the person in charge of the network doesn't like musicians.
maybe that person is on I've got Patrick Nana Safo also saying all what Dr.
Well,
Addaquay is
that's
saying
good,
is
by the way.
perfectly
Yeah.
true. It goes more fire. And I've got Sandra Addaquay also saying great interview, enjoying it. Great job, Doctor. Beautiful interviewer. And I've got another controversial thing, coming up here is saying in Pasamunkoa, I
Yeah.
mean, talking about these awards, whatever. And I've got, my sister all the way from America saying, called Emma Dakwa Owusu, Dakwa Owusu, sorry, also saying, Nana, keep up the good work. God bless you. So, yeah, I'm just a little bit on my part, and I take it. So, Doc, now we let
Yeah.
us talk about what you do.
For sure.
What makes you love what you do? And also, what do you do behind stage that provides inspiration, for you on stage?
I love what I do.
Okay.
I really love what I do. But it doesn't mean I will not be happy when I'm paid.
Oh, energy.
You know, yeah, because in our part of the world, loving what you do means you are doing it from your heart without payment. That is the definition of loving what you do in our
Yeah.
part of the world. So the youth of today, even when they love what they are doing, they try to hide it because as soon as you show the public you love love your work,
Mm.
they think then you mustn't be paid for what you are doing, And even it happens to all kinds of jobs, even medical doctor. Medical doctor loves his work so much. He's underestimated. Just by the way,
Mm.
what is that know, music gives hope to hope.
Mm.
And as you mentioned,
Mm.
I know two programs are the same.
Yeah.
Trust me, a particular program that you sang a certain song that everyone stood on their feet.
Mm.
You go and sing the same song with the same interpretation somewhere, and it may not be received,
Mm.
depending on the audience. And you'll be shocked that the same audience that came to a specific function and you performed and they loved it, the same audience you meet somewhere else, you perform and they may not give the same response. Meaning
Mm.
that the environment, the
Yeah.
atmosphere, the weather, the
Mm.
acoustics of the room, and the kind of people that have gathered, all those things are part of considerations in terms of music. So at
Yeah.
times, as a musician, you may rehearse a specific song, but
Mm.
you may get there and realize that the kind of audience there, or even the kind of environment, and probably the acoustics and all that may not allow you to sing. Imagine you deciding to sing "Great Is Thy Faithfulness" in a very noisy environment where cars are passing, horns are blowing, ambulances, because the church may be close to a hospital,
Yeah.
ambulances striking, and a market. Probably it may also be. I know a church that is close to a hospital and also close to a market. And imagine such a place in the afternoon around 3 o'clock or 2 to 3. You
Mm.
trying to sing "Great is Thy Faithfulness" in a very soft manner. If you don't take care, you fail, because the environment itself may not even allow you to produce that
Yeah.
music. But you see, you'll also be shocked that with this same noisy environment, you can sing the music and everyone will calm down. You understand? So
Yeah.
the ability of a performing musician to know where he's going to and the kind of audience he's going to meet and the atmosphere and the environment he's going to perform music, is very, very key. And therefore, when I'm rehearsing one song, I rehearse it in many, many ways because I know anything at all can happen. So, as part of my rehearsal, I rehearse considering all these aspects in mind: the
Mhm.
venue, the kind of people, the number of people, the atmosphere, the acoustics, and all that.
Mm.
I really, whether I'm going to a charismatic church or an Orthodox church, even in the mosque, even if I have to go to the mosque, then I'll have to know the kind of music to prepare,
Yeah.
for
Mm.
Muslims to love what I do. That is just by the way. So I think that that is what is part of my preparations. Yeah.
Mm.
So lastly, at times, me as a classical musician, you will see me singing a classical in a different way. You'll be shocked.
Mm.
At times, I can decide that okay, I'm playing Hallelujah chorus, but in this kind of environment, I will do an abridged Hallelujah chorus. I may not do the whole thing. I will just cut and paste and make sure I'm done because I have some minutes and I know the kind of people I'm dealing with. You may
Good.
think it's wrong, but what is wrong to you may be right somewhere. So as a performing musician, you must have an
Mm.
open mind to know that there are many, many things are possible outside your own scope, for sure.
Okay. So, you being a classical musician,
Yeah,
which still people don't know much about,
yeah, yeah,
what do you feel needs to be done to grow classical music audiences? And
for
two,
sure.
yes, how do you make your repertoire choices from season to season?
Okay, for sure. That's great. So for the first, the first one, I think that apart from organizing concerts,
Yeah.
you know, And these days, because of COVID, concerts have really reduced. You know, as a classical musician, I will say that we mustn't be. I'll come back to the question, but I want to state this before. We mustn't be too keen about numbers from the
Okay.
start. Okay,
I
because
think that's the
when
problem now.
it's a
There's a
problem,
problem because
because every
everybody
musician
wants.
wants to have the numbers. No,
Yeah.
don't. You see, don't worry. Even if you have a video with only 5 views, listen, you don't know the impact you are making. Those 5 people that watched your video, you'll be shocked the impact you are making. Views grow gradually,
Yeah.
numbers grow gradually. So, as a classical musician, I will say that we need to have a union,
Mm.
association of classical musicians, and we look at the way forward in terms of remuneration, in terms of structures to put in place. Even where we grow, we will have our pension and all that. Apart from that, I think that we need to record them all and discuss our music. We don't have to wait till the traditional media discusses us. We don't have to wait till, but you see, amongst the musicians, trust me, because the society is always lambasting us, we are also not united, in such a way that the society has even convinced some musicians to think that we are doing something wrong, So even when you want us to group as a union, it's very difficult to group musicians,
Yeah.
But I want to say that as much as you think you are doing it alone, or you know music very well and you are doing it well, when you are within a union, it can grow higher than what you think. So
Okay.
for your selfish ambition, you may think you are doing well, but you don't know what the union can do. The union can help you in many, many ways. Put your videos out there. Try as much as possible to share them. And then discuss, as I mentioned, discuss them, talk about the music. Create platforms for yourself. Create your own awards. Create your own programs, even if you have only 20 people attending, and keep growing it gradually.
Cool.
And that is the only way we can grow. But if as a classical or art musician, you think you are releasing a video and within 2 days, you're going to have 500 million views, then excuse me to say
It's a
that
joke. Yeah.
you have a long way to go. You can get there. Yes, you can get there, but it takes time to get there. I think that is the best I can say for now. Yeah.
I mean, having answered, the first question, that talks about, should I say, people not being patient. Do you think in our generation we believe in humble beginning? Because it's like, it looks like everybody's in a rush to grow. It looks like everybody is in a rush to be popular. Like we're all rushing to be famous. Do you think
because it is because of the society? Don't blame the musicians. Okay. I have a very soft spot for musicians, so maybe that is why I don't always want to blame, because musicians have been chastised for too long. So at times I don't also want to add it to their Goliath. Let me tell you one thing. The society doesn't respect humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come back to the musicians, but the society doesn't respect humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Imagine as a beginner, you are playing music somewhere. Someone comes and goes like, whose instrument is this? Take this thing away. But who is the one playing? He's called maybe Alote. What's Alote? Is he a musician? Oh, even we have worked with Kwame Eugene and all those people. Who are you? All those kinds of, and it happens anywhere. You go to a traditional media, you want them to play your music. They don't want to play. Everything you are doing, because your beginning is very humble, you struggle. Therefore, you start thinking of how to get famous very quick. Because don't also forget that we are now in a fast world. We are no more in a slow world. We are in a quick world. So everyone wants to be quick in many, many things. He does. And the youth also wants, because that adult that is telling you that be patient and money is not everything. That same adult, if you want to marry his daughter and you do not have your own, at least some 2 bedroom to stay, and you do not have your own car, and another person comes with resources, they will take that person and tell you to step out. You understand? And that same person telling you to be patient, if he sees you performing music anywhere with a very bad attire because you don't have the money to buy it, and with a very humble way of it, that same person will disrespect your art. He will appreciate you, you clap for you, but to even give you a good seat before your performance, he will not give to you. But you see, in all, I will still plead to musicians to be patient, because music is patience. Rome was not built in a day. So as everyone is disrespecting you because you haven't won an award, because you haven't performed on a big platform, because you haven't done this, you see, I will tell you that the time will come. But just see your stage as a preparation stage and know that your situation is not temporal. It's not permanent, sorry. It's just temporal. So just work on yourself, have patience, and then you will get there. Forget about the society, forget about the disrespect. But I'll also tell the society, stop disrespecting musicians. Listen, when you invite a musician to a function, introduce him properly, whether he's a beginner or he's not a beginner. Listen, your encouragement, you are waiting to see someone already there, but your encouragement can also put the person there, and you can also be proud and say, I was part of his development. Get him a good seat, give him good money, respect him, and let the people cheer him up. I quite remember those days I was at a certain crusade, and then we had some gospel musicians performing, and they were like, we have Tego sisters, and everyone would be like, yeah, we have those. Then at that time they didn't know me. They didn't know me, and the person was like, we have, excuse me, Alfred, Addaquay, please hurry up, there's no time on that. You see, it is very discouraging. Trust me,
very
because you see, as a musician, people cheering you up. Let me tell you, when you go to advanced countries, at times they even train audiences to cheer musicians up before a performance. It's very important, no matter whom he is. It gives him the. Are we back?
Yes.
Okay. So after all, the musician is there to make you happy. You see, I always say that musicians are always thinking of making people happy. But when it comes to time that people must make musicians happy, it becomes a problem. But why must it always be the other way around? That we have to play the music for people to enjoy. Whenever we are on stage, we are making sure our music is on point, our rehearsal, all for the praises of men. We are just doing this to make you happy. But when it comes to the time that you have to make us happy and make us feel good, you feel bad at it, all because you haven't invited the person. No, you don't do that. So please, whether this, no matter the status of the musician, give him the due respect or give him what he deserves, and God will bless you. Thank you.
Okay. Also move on. I know you've done a lot of performances, and being a composer as well. Let us talk a little bit about, about your composition. I know, we have different compositions in terms of the opera, the cantatas, the sonata. I don't know. You educate us, a little bit about like about these variety, and which one are you proud of?
Okay.
Which one are you proud of? Because I know we have the oratorio and
Yeah.
the other ones. Which one are you really proud of?
Okay. I'm proud of everything that I've done, including my first composition on earth. You know, depending on the audience, the composition is going for.
Mm,
All the styles you mentioned,
mm,
oratorios, concertos,
yeah,
sonatas,
yeah.
operas, they are all Western traditions,
Okay.
which I have Western classical traditions.
Mm,
I have an oratorio titled Laudater Christus. I have a cantata
mhm,
titled Afin Sakraye. It's an African cantata. The oratorio is the only one in Western, but the rest are African.
mm,
I have an African concerto for the piano and African drums.
mhm,
I have an African sonata for the piano. But though they are African, but they are intercultural,
mhm,
it's a hybrid of two worlds. For instance, if I say, sorry, an African concerto, concerto is a soloist playing with an orchestra,
okay.
soloist playing. So, for instance, if it's a flute concerto, it means the flutist is the soloist backed by the orchestra. Now, the piano concerto that I have, why I'm saying it's intercultural is that in the first place, the piano is not even an African instrument, it's a
Mm,
Western instrument.
yeah.
And then the chords and the harmonies on the piano are Western. But
Mhm,
what makes it African is the rhythm. One, I used Adwa, Gabada, Panlungu, Bobobo. Okay, now, therefore, I used drums, African drums. So
mm,
the rhythms make it African,
okay.
and the introduction of few African structures, So it's a hybrid of the two worlds.
The two words.
And I have Ghanaian gospel music. I have Ghanaian art compositions for choral, for areas like for solos. I
Mhm,
have soprano. I have a violin. I have violin pieces. I have pieces for brass bands and all that.
okay.
I write them not always necessarily to be too popular. Some
Mhm,
I write for academic purposes, some I write for experimental purposes, and some of them too, I write it, I write the music to go out there for everyone to enjoy. So not all my compositions are for everybody, in quote, to enjoy. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
Um, we have the perception that every, gospel song has to be,
yeah,
biblical.
for
Do
sure.
you agree with that perception? Do you
I
think,
Yeah,
what do you
I'm
think? Do you
listening.
think,
Yeah,
every gospel song has to be biblical?
no, no,
Why?
because
Mhm.
no, yes, but no.
Okay.
But why do I want to start from no? No, because to some people,
Hmm.
I know a particular church that biblical music means the text is coming straight from the Bible.
Okay.
So if it is Psalm 23, the text is coming straight from the Bible. So if you turn it, for instance, if you have a song and you say, Minsuro biaro, Minsuro biara, Nyame wo ma feinti, Obiara mpuba, Minsuro biara, Bonsam beba, Minsuro no, Atamfo beba, Minsuro no. Now, you see, I'm just composing it now. It's not a song. But let's take it that this is a song which is there.
Mm.
It still falls under the Lord is my shepherd.
Yeah.
I shall not want.
Mm.
He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. And even it says that, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
Hmm.
I will fear no evil.
No evil.
So if I have a song talking about me not fearing any evil,
Mm.
it is Psalm 23.
Yeah.
But I may have a way of interpreting my own Psalm 23 because
Hmm.
of my experience with God. Because don't forget that the Bible, the characters in the Bible, their experiences with God is different from our experience with
Our
God.
experiences with God, yeah.
So if David was a musician, all right, but don't forget he was also a king. I am a musician, but I'm not a king. So my experience with God as a full-time musician is definitely different from David's experience with God.
Experience.
So if I write music talking about my personal experience with God, you can't tell me because it's not biblical, you won't take it. Because
Okay.
what is biblical? Biblical is all what we have in the Bible is what has happened in the past. The experiences of great men of God, with their walk with God. That's what we see in the Bible.
Yeah.
The fact that my story is not in the Bible doesn't mean I can't sing with it. When I was young, I had problem with this music, but later on I understood. I had problem with Erade wo meku adena menkwa me brese yi dabena mensro ma bepue pape wo meku. I felt that the lamentation is too much, and I also felt that at the end of the music, at least there should have been some hope that yenimsa wo meku enso ye nyaminti obeboa yen yenso ye na o kan meku na dabena mensro ma bepue sa de so ma ye re homo. But later on in life, I grew to understand that you may not know what the composer was going through at that particular moment he wrote that music.
Yeah.
That's why even in the Bible we have Book of Lamentations and all that. Anyway, you may not know what the composer was going through. So when a composer writes a work, it is better you interview him to know the situation that made him write that work. But to say a song is not biblical all because the words are not coming straight from the Bible, I think it is wrong, and I think it is too harsh on gospel musicians. Lastly, let's take Kofi Kinate's Things Fall Apart. Nyamesumpan Yerisumia. All what he mentioned are not in the Bible. But to me, it's a gospel music. It is gospel. Just that probably it will not be played in the church because but it is gospel. You understand where I'm coming from? So
Yes.
at times we mustn't also look at the gospel as good news. Any good news is gospel. You understand? So
Yeah.
we mustn't wait till I think a certain woman told me that, oh, I love your music so much. But because of my faith and my church, when the music doesn't come straight from the Bible, I'm not able to sing. So most of your songs, I'm not able to sing them because we've been warned not to sing songs that don't come straight from the Bible. Unless I would have sung a lot of your songs. So she thinks because the music is not coming straight from the Bible, it is not biblical. No. They don't even understand biblical because once the person talks about God and the goodness of God and his praises, I don't know how biblical you want it to be.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I don't know whether your question has been answered.
Yes. I know. I know this interview is so explosive, and I know tonight you've spoken for a lot of musicians who are so great and do not feel appreciated. I've got Philip Delali who says, "Hey, our experience with God matters. God bless you, Doc." I've got Abna Techi also says, "Our society is corrupt. We worship appearance." And I've got Jemima Jampo also saying we should also create our own awards. And I've got one also from Alex Kofi that's my husband.
Oh, wow. Wow, husband,
Yeah.
husband, you have a beautiful wife. Congratulations. Husband,
let me see what can the technical team please bring what Alex said, and also there was another amazing comment. Okay, says this is all inspiring and life enriching. I'm being blessed. And I've got one also from Harry Donko.
Harry Donko is my best friend.
Okay, always insightful listening to you, Doc. God continue to bless you, bro. And I've got Sandra again says truth matters. And I think there was another one from before Alex. There was a very very lengthy comment that was so please, yes, from Darlington Hanks. He says, I've known Dr. Alfred Addaquay since 2002, and that is 19 years back, since his infanticum days. He has, he has, and continues to be a wonderful classical musician. I remember what he sang. I remember when he sang soprano solos and played the keyboard at the same time during church services, and guys were stretching their necks to see if a lady was the one singing.
I used to
That's
sing
amazing.
treble. Yeah, Darlington, I love you so much.
And
That's
I've
a good
got,
song.
Abnati also saying our society is corrupt. We worship appearance. And I've got, Chrissy Achireba,
Hey,
Achireba,
that's
sorry.
my wife.
Sorry.
That's my wife. Please stress on that. Stress on that. That's my wife.
Chrissy,
My lovely wife.
Chrissy Achireba Addaquay. He goes, I'm so proud of you, Doc. Amazing interview. So we'll continue with this interview. Having gone through all these challenges, what is success to you as a musician?
Success to me as a musician is a musician that has been able to accomplish his aim by producing good music. Full stop. That is success to me on the side of music. So success to me is not the musician that has played on the biggest platform in the world. You look, let me tell you, when musicians are talking about greatness, I'm talking about serious musicians. When we are talking about greatness of musicians, we don't talk about the platforms they have been or the countries they have performed at. We talk about their skill. Every serious musician will talk about your skill. You understand? And as a musician, I feel that if you sharpen your skill and you produce music that can be internationally recognized. If I say internationally recognized, not necessarily that the Queen of England has recognized the music. That's not what I'm talking about. But you can hear a song and you know that this song can be played anywhere internationally, whether traditional music, whether Addaquay, whether from, whether gospel, whether what. And you hear it and you feel that no, even if it's classical, and you hear and you feel this kind of talent can be played on any stage. The musician is a successful musician. For the stages to perform at, you see, the queue at times is so long. And one or two situations may not allow a musician to be on a specific stage, not because he's not good at what he does. And two, of course, on the financial level, success is in music is being able to earn good money for a living. Because at the end of the day, as a musician, with all the great music you produce, if you do not have stable financial to keep you going, hey, it means that it will get to a time that music you are playing, you may not be able to play. You understand? So I will advise musicians that the same amount of time and energy we place on our skill, we should give same attention to the business side of it.
Okay.
Forget about the society that will tell you like money. Forget about the reverend minister that will tell you if you play and you get your money, it means you have your gift on earth. Meanwhile, your gift is in heaven. Okay, no problem. Take the one on earth and take the one in heaven as well. That will be double for you.
I like that one.
I feel that a musician must work hard on their financial stream so that at the end of the day, when you organize concerts, when you have recordings coming out and all that, you do not lose, because as much as you keep losing, it discourages your art. So you have to get a legal counsel, you have to get management. You think if you think the money must come to only you are making a very big mistake, because you must have it. You must have handlers that are taking care of whatever you do, your social media handles, everything you do. And these days, music has gone beyond selling CDs and pen drives. We sell our music online. All the available online platforms, research into them, put your music there, and make sure you get something out of it. And when you get all the fans, make sure you don't only spend your money on parties. I know musicians will always want to party. Musicians will always want to go into drinking and all other, immoral aspects
Yeah.
because of the stress, emotional stress the society puts us through.
Mm.
Trust me. I mean, most musicians are like that because, at times as a musician, you feel you are alone. Everyone has rejected you. Everyone doesn't even agree with your act. Especially when you don't become popular. Family deserts you.
Yeah.
Friends don't take you for anything. I mean, so your only source of hope is to party and drink, womanize and all that. But trust me, as much as you are doing that, you are also it's also a big indictment on your career,
On your
because when you
career.
start drinking and smoking, it means that you can't live long. So use your mind and know
Yeah.
that the little you get, save, invest, and make good use out of it, and
That's
you will be
amazing.
successful. Yeah,
That's amazing. Doctor, I've seen you organizing workshops for children.
yeah,
So, what are some of the important ideas that you can give to impact, aspiring, classical, musicians?
for sure. I started having workshops long time ago for choristers, for organists and all that. Because I feel that knowledge is power. And
Mm.
as I'm also learning, I'm still learning, um, knowledge is power. And I also feel that as a successful person, um, you must also be able to leave legacy behind. You
Yeah.
must produce, Unfortunately, when musicians produce legends, legends grow, and if you are not careful or if you are not lucky, the legend may not even mention you at all. Because the legend will grow and they ask, oh, who inspired you? Then the legend will start mentioning Professor What, because he feels that on the platform he is, no one knows you. So he doesn't
Yeah.
even want to mention
Mm.
you. And at times, in a particular church or anywhere, a musician will teach someone to come and become a very good organist for the church or even a good singer for the church. The church will never congratulate him. Rather, the church will go like, "What's now, ama? Wow, student crowd na diempo onim chen."
Oh,
But we
so,
mustn't also worry so much about some of these comments. Do what you are supposed to do.
mhm.
Leave legacy. Train the young ones. Encourage them so that whatever bitter experience you went through,
Mm.
they don't go through the same. You know.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
feel that having workshops and teaching and all, teaching has always been my passion. And very soon my music school will be ready. And
Oh,
then
that's
and
amazing.
I've also decided that with my management that very very soon, each and every week, we'll bring something to bear on the keyboard or singing, for beginners and classical musicians to be able to learn um, from what we have done, and
That's
then we are
amazing.
still learning. Yeah,
When it happens, keep the inside view, posted, and we also do, like what we can do to promote it. In our own small
wow,
way. So
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, sure.
Thanks a lot.
And we are almost ending our interview.
Oh,
What is Mr. Addaquay's typical day like? And
oh,
also, if somebody wants to engage, you for any performances or any shows or anything, how can the person, get in contact with you? So
all
two
right. My
questions anyway.
typical day, my typical day is very busy at times. You know, though as I said, I will have one or two businesses that I do, but music is my passion. My typical day is very busy. Tomorrow, as I speak to you, as a Monday, I'm playing for the Gamanche. I'm
Wow.
playing for his birthday. On Tuesday, I am playing at another birthday. On Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing for another person on. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. I am very busy, but it doesn't mean you can't make me busy. Human beings make me busy. So if you are a human being, you can also make me busy.
Good.
Engage me. I will play music for you. And don't also forget that I'm not the type that is interested in. I know people tell me, oh, for your stage now, there are some places we mustn't see you perform. Hey, I am not like that. Any place at all you call me, I'll perform because I'm working. That is what we call working for God. Because God didn't give me the talent only to play music for kings. He gave me the
Mm,
talent to play music for all, you know.
mm,
And therefore, I am that humble that once you contact me and the right procedures are being made, I'll come and play music for you. Forget about how
okay.
big I am, how high I am. I'll come and play
Mm,
music for you. If you see me playing music at a village and you think because of that you won't invite me again, high stage, and you feel that, oh, because of that your function may be too small for you, for me, and all that, it's also your cup of tea. They are all wrong perceptions. No. You can
okay.
always have my manager, but this number is just for programs, contacting us for programs.
Okay.
Okay. Um, you can always contact my manager on 0243 233 725. For the very last time, 0243 233
Okay.
725. Black and white keys. Addaquay
Okay.
on the black and white keys. Don't just go and listen to the videos. Just subscribe because I'll be bringing in new videos and all. On Facebook,
Wow.
my fan page is Addaquay on the black and white keys.
Yes.
But on Instagram and I have another Facebook account which is my personal account, Alfred Patrick Addaquay. And then
Okay.
yes, you can see all my videos and all the things you want to see about me. And I also want to tell my fans that they should continue to pray for me because God has a lot in store for me. And without their
Wow.
prayers, I can't get to where I am.
Wow.
Without their prayers, I can't get to where I am going to.
Wow. How say, look, the comments keep coming. I've got Nana Kwame Prempe says, God richly bless you for your humble heart. That's from Nana Kwame Prempe. And I've got Jemima Jampo again. It says it's been amazing. And Benjamin Jashon says, I can't wait for your music school. So already I think you've got students, lining up. And one also from Kwame Edmondson. If the technical, yes, it goes now. I think if you can go a bit up, please, the technical team, if we can read Kwame Edmondson's comment. I think he was talking about what you do. He goes,
Okay.
yes. He goes, okay. Okay. There's one also from Abna Watting. He goes, keep doing what you do. Dr. God, bless you. And I wish I could read, Kwame Nkrumah's because he's also an amazing performer, up and coming, musician in
Wow.
Ghana. Yes. So, yes, it goes, thank you, my sister. Doctor is a genius. Yeah. So that's that
Wow.
one. And it goes, world music is what he means. That's also from Kwame Edmondson. So, um, it's been an insightful interview, and I know whoever chanced upon this interview after there's a lot in there that needs to be heard. There's a lot that needs to be open, and I'm so glad that Doctor, you honored my invitation to educate
You're
us,
welcome.
on your challenge or challenges as a classical or arts musician. I think like most people thought it's art and classical musician. No. Classical or art musician. But then you've actually taught us that classical is totally different from an art
Mm.
musician. So on that one too, we know we've been educated, and also been educated about the different compositions in terms of the sonata, cantata, the operas, the concertos,
Yeah.
and also the oratorios. And also, it's also something I've learned today. And I would like to say to viewers out there, let us support, let us support all musicians. not just what appeals to our ears only, but it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of money. It takes of, like it takes a lot of dedication to bring out one song. So, the perception that if your music is not popular, you're not a musician enough, I think that should stop. And we should encourage all, our own to do their best instead of the selected few. And also, I would also, urge that, it's high time we talked about the different, varieties of, music. We've got the jazz, we've got, the classical, Doctor has told us a lot. And it is my wish that all these spectrum will be acknowledged and also appreciated. And I just hope and pray that one day the awards night will just encompass all these, different music styles that you've talked about, on tonight, and not just limiting it to just hip hop and gospel. And even with the gospel, it has to be, a certain kind of gospel. But today we've heard that we've got, gospel going classical, but it's still not appreciated because we think it's a classical thing, and you're the classical, the normal ones that. So I think it's high time we educate, especially, our youth, to appreciate good music. I'll say good music, not necessarily, dance. Fine, it's good, but let us also broaden our knowledge a little bit, just to help and encourage other musicians, up and coming. So on that note, I would say thank you so much, listeners out there, for tuning in. It's been, a long interview, but I would say it's, as worth the time. It's worth the time. So thank you for all listeners who have stayed on until this time. I'll say thank you once again, and thank you, Doctor, for
You're welcome.
And to my amazing fans out there, thank you, and continue to support the Inside View, and we'll bring you more insightful interviews. So thank you and good night, and have a blessed week, everyone. Thank you.